All right, yeah. Trying to get that resistance training in. Resistance training. That's what we doing. We trying to get the resistance training in. I know. I just be going live whenever. I promise you. I promise you. I'm going to start scheduling my lives. I promise. I just be going live, whatever. I just be in the mood. I might be praying, reading. I might be getting that resistance training in. I don't know. I might be doing something, but I'm just going. I just felt like going live. So let's go live. I don't got that much time today. I got to go pick up my kids. It's Friday. It's the last day of school. Well, it's the last day they going because there's a bunch of half a days next week. They ain't tripping. I ain't tripping. I told my kids, this is the last Friday I'm picking y'all up from school, man. I need a break too. So I'm picking my kids up. So I ain't going to hold y'all. Listen, we're going to jump into this. I was just thinking, praying. I just thought, man, I'm resistance training. Let me just come in here and work out with y'all real quick. All right. First things first. Welcome to CNN. I'm your host, the underdog, Kirk Kennedy. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Expose them. That's what we try to do. Any side. Some sides are so wild. You know why I don't talk about Joe Biden a lot? Because it's like low-hanging fruit. That's why. That's why I don't talk about it. I think sometimes the Democrats are just low-hanging fruit in many ways, man. I just think like, wow, I just don't even. Anyway. All right. A few other Christian traditions, such as I am, you know that tomorrow's not promised, but the day of the Lord is. You know, we know that he is able to guard what he's invested in us until that day. So we remember the future right there. We're right there. Hold on. What we doing? I'm going backwards. You know what it is. I don't even feel like doing it. I don't got time. All right, man. I thank you so much, man. We at 3,200. You know what I'm saying? We at there. T-minus 1,800 to go, man. We there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get it. I promise I'm going to start putting up the notifications of when I'm going live, because a lot of people be like, man, I never catch you live. You always go live. So I'm sorry. I'm not organized like these other people, man. They be having productions, man. I just click. I write a couple of notes and I click and we go. All right, let's get it. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about today and why we having this conversation. I know Trump is also low-hanging fruit, but I was talking to a buddy of mine, right? Talking to a buddy of mine. This is one of my good friends, my man from Cali. I'm in Cali. We was rapping. And he was saying to me, I was actually surprised to hear him say this. I haven't kept up with the Trump trial. To be honest, I just see things, I hear them, but I have no confidence in none of this stuff. Yes, I live in the country and I'm going to ride it out and whatever, but I just have no confidence. I think everyone is just a liar. I think at this point, all political options have proved to be just a liar. And the fact that the same two dudes are up for presidential nomination again, I think it's just a judgment from the Lord, right? So I heard things. I didn't pay attention to it. Read an article or two here and there. My buddy, who is a pretty level-headed dude, he's like me. He's a white version of me on some level. Stay balanced kind of dude. So he said to me, man, that Trump trial was pretty much a sham trial. And I was like, really? And I was surprised to hear him say that, because I've heard a lot of people say this online. He said, yeah, that Trump trial is a sham trial. And I was like, really, 34 felonies? That's a sham though? And he was just saying, basically, and he could be wrong, but this is what he was saying. He was saying that the evidence against Trump is really an old misdemeanor that they're really stretching it out to make it felony. And I said, listen, man, I don't know. I know what it's like to have problems with the law that you feel like is a little bit too much. I mean, there's some laws that was created for certain individuals, man. Conspiracy to commit a crime. You get locked up for just thinking about it. You ain't even do it. You just might have planned it. You could have changed your mind. But if the people you planned it with go forward with it, you getting arrested. You even helped. You thought about it. You didn't. So I just thought, I didn't know what to think. So I was like, wow, bro. I was surprised to hear him say that. So as I've heard other people say that, I was like, okay. So I was reading this morning. I do this thing where sometimes I want to read the whole letter straight through. A lot of my life as a Christian, I'll read, just a couple verses, meditate. But I'm in a season right now where I want to get the whole word. I want to read the word straight through. All right. So I decided to read all the pastoral epistles this morning. 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, and Titus. I just wanted to read them all back to back to back. I stop and meditate, think about it, talk to the Lord a little bit as I'm seeing things. It's good to read letters like that because you get this big picture perspective. So I was reading it and I came across this verse that I'm aware of it, but just sometimes things stand out to you, right? The Lord will make something a little bit bigger than the rest of it for some reason because I think that's just where you're at, right? So I came across 1 Timothy 2 and 3 verses and it said this. 1 Timothy 2, this is what it said. It said, first of all then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions. That would classify for us as presidents, governors, senators, mayors, all those types of things, right? For kings and all those who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. Now I want you to see what he's saying here. He's saying that, let's go back to verse 1. For first of all, I want supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings to be made for all people. So he's saying, I want you to be praying for everyone, right? And he's saying that because we live Ephesians 6:12, for we do not wrestle with flesh and blood. There's supernatural warfare going on, and we don't get to see it as much. We just see people. We don't get to see the spiritual entity behind these things that have taken some of these people captive, right? So he's saying pray for all people. But then in verse 2, he says for kings and for all in high positions, that we may live a peaceful. So I want to pray for these kings and people in high positions so that we can live a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. So in other words, our prayers should affect the way they act so that we can live a peaceful and godly life, right? This is what he's saying do. This is the prayer. And then verse 3 and 4, this is good and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior. So there we got the stamp of approval, who desires all people to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth, right? So this is the call. I was reading this and I thought, you know what? Wow, this is interesting. So let's pray for prayer, supplication. Those are just different kinds of prayers, right? And then he says, for kings, all people. So I was thinking in our culture, presidents, and I was thinking, how much do I pray for Trump? How much do I pray for Trump? And I thought, not really that much, man. I think it's easier to come on and say negative things about our political, the people who govern our nation, and for clicks and likes. It's easy to do that. And I thought, you know what, Lord, I don't pray for Trump that much. I don't pray for these guys that much. Every once in a while, I'll do it, but I don't even know if it's heartfelt. I just kind of pray that they don't do something stupid, right? Kind of like that, right? Just self-righteous, I think, to be honest. So I thought, okay, let me start thinking about it. But then I thought, well, we're praying for them that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, right? Right, and so then I read this and I thought, okay, so I'm thinking about it. And then I thought about what my man said. Man, it was a sham trial and all this stuff. And so I decided to do some investigation. And I want to say 2 things, all right? I want to say a couple things. The first thing is this. You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. You ain't got to lie, Craig. So if it was a sham trial, all right, then we need to have an honest conversation about Donald Trump, all right? Let's have an honest conversation. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, just to be clear, to be transparent, right? The reason why I attack conservatives a little bit more than liberals, because I think the liberals are low-hanging fruit. I think Biden has been an incredibly embarrassing 4 years. I think longer than that. I think even when Trump was there, going back for a while. But I was a conservative. I would have considered myself a conservative, but I'm not one of those. I wasn't one of those anti-black narrative conservatives. I was like, nope, I think there's some truth in what some of these people are saying, but I also think there's some truth in what these people are saying. But my values lined up more conservative. I've never voted Democrat in my life. I never trusted them. I always thought that they were shucking and jiving black people, and I still think that way to this day. But the conservatives, so it's kind of weird because the conservatives don't want the black vote, if that matters, and the left been lying about what they're going to do when they get the black vote so long that you just feel like, man, you don't have no hope, right? So I said, okay, it was a sham trial. Need to pray for my leaders. But then I just thought for a second, wait a minute. All right. So I came across this tweet. I guess it's Cowlin Cowherd. He gave a tweet. So I use Perplexity. I use ChatGPT and Perplexity. ChatGPT, I use more for like ideas, brainstorming. It's good for just, it'll go wherever you want it to go. Perplexity is more, I'm gonna give you accurate information. That's what Perplexity is good at. I love Perplexity. I think it's the best AI tool for accurate information that you want in milliseconds, right? So you type something in Perplexity, it comes back quick. It has articles, YouTube videos, whatever. It shows you this is where I'm getting my sources from, right? Like ChatGPT will just go in La La Land if you go in La La Land. So I like that because you can have fun. You can go. So I took his quote and I put it in Perplexity. Let me show you what happened. And here's what I said. So I said this. This is the quote. I put, is this true about Trump? And then I put in quotations, Donald Trump is now a felon, Cowherd said. And then he goes on the list. His campaign champion was a felon. So was his deputy campaign manager, his personal lawyer, his chief strategist, his national security advisor, his trade advisor, his foreign policy advisor, his campaign fixer, and his company CFO. They're all felons. All right. Now, when I saw that, I thought, no, he's probably on the left just hating. Like he's just one of them dudes that just hate. It's probably hyperbole. This is what I thought. It's hyperbole. Now I don't know where you from, right? Because I know on the right, there was a point, especially during the election, they were wanting Hunter Biden's laptop. Like they were so willing, they were just so desperate to expose the left that they focused on Hunter Biden. He's not running for president. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares, right? So it was just like, I was like, why does this matter? What is all this? And I'm sure there's more to it than I'm sure there's someone on the right that's going to say, yeah, you don't understand, bro, because this and this would have won the election. I don't care about that, right? I could care less. If you want to tell me about he lost the election, I say God won the election. God's sovereign, right? So anyway, I thought, this is hyperbole. This isn't. So I said, Perplexity, let me find out. Is this true? And here's what Perplexity did. It said, yes, that statement is accurate based on the search results provided. Here are the key points. Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the Manhattan hush money case, making him a convicted felon. Several of Trump's close associates and former campaign administration officials have also been convicted of felonies. Paul Manafort, former campaign chairman, convicted of financial crimes. Rick Gates, former deputy campaign manager, convicted of conspiracy and false statements. Michael Cohen, former personal lawyer, convicted of campaign finance violations and other charges. Steve Bannon, former chief strategist, convicted of contempt of Congress. Michael Flynn, former national security advisor, convicted of lying to the FBI. Peter Navarro, former trade advisor, convicted of contempt of Congress, currently in prison. George Papadopoulos, former foreign policy advisor, convicted of lying to the FBI. Alan Weisselberg, Trump Organization's former CFO, convicted of tax fraud. So the statement accurately reflects that Trump himself is now a convicted felon, and many of his close associates and former top officials have been convicted of felonies related to their work for him or his campaign/administration. When I read that, I thought, you ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. Here's the thing. This is the phrase you got to use today because two things can be true at once. Trump could have had a sham trial. Let's just say I didn't follow it. Let's say the 34 convictions are really just the Justice Department trying to stick it to him. Let's just say that that's true. Here's the other thing. I'm talking to those of us who are believers, who genuine believers, who actually care about these things and who are going to vote and all this stuff, right? But I'm really talking to believers who I think who are more syncretistic, right? Well, your faith and your politics are so intertwined that you don't really understand. You don't even see it. And I want to just say this. Two things can be true at once. Trump could have had a sham trial. But Trump can also be an evil, crooked dude. Now, let me tell you why I'm talking the way I'm talking, and particularly to this group of people. On Facebook, I saw this all over the place. This one actually has a stop sign, no sign in it, right? But on Facebook, I saw this everywhere after Trump was convicted, right? I saw this everywhere, stuff like this. Jesus was convicted in a sham trial, right? And crucified. I still follow him, all right? Jesus was convicted in a sham trial and crucified. I still follow him. Here's what I'm trying to say. If you think you can vote for Trump, all right? Vote for Trump. If you're conservative, you're going to vote for Trump. You're not going to vote Democrat, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I find, and I don't think anyone on the conservative side would think that if, put it like this, when George Floyd was killed, Candace Owens and many other conservatives went on a tirade and highlighted and found all these prior convictions, arrests, drug arrests, and different things that he had. And the point was, you're making this guy a martyr and he's a hero. And the reality was this. People weren't making George Floyd a hero. George Floyd, for some people, was just the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a very volatile time in America. We were on lockdown. We were worried about dying from COVID. Everyone was in the house. All we were watching was social media. And it was an election year. And you got all this, you were seeing all this, multiple videos going viral, right, of mistreatment towards black people. And then whatever you think about George Floyd's personality or not, the cop could have just got off his back. It wasn't necessary to keep your knee on his back. Whether you think he died of asphyxiation because of the cop or something, doesn't matter. You don't have to be laid down like that. And I love when people say, what about Tony Temple? Tony Temple was a white dude that had the same thing happen to him and no one outraged about him. People talk like that's a gotcha moment. In fact, I think what I understand that there's a song on a recent album that has dropped that has that. And it's supposed to be like a gotcha moment. Like, yeah, y'all marched for George Floyd, but not Tony Temple. And and it's true. Tony Temple was a white guy who same video footage of a cop with his knee on his back, almost identical to George Floyd, except he was in the grass. He was pleading for his life, and he died. And for a couple years, the cops hid that. His mom was the only one who fought to get that footage, to get the police footage released, and then it showed that the police, it was wrongful death. They killed this dude. Same thing that happened to George Floyd. When I watched Tony Temple's video, I say this is not the virtue signal. I don't got a virtue. I don't care if you guys believe me or not. I was broken. I cried when I watched the video. One, for his mom, because I got 3 boys. I got 3 sons. And whether they were guilty or hellions or not, those are still my children. The loss of a child is devastating, right? I cried because I felt, as a parent, I can't imagine what it feels like to lose your child, right? And then I was upset. Now, many people on the conservative side, I think this was even in Fault Lines, Rhodey's book, used the death and the lack of media coverage as a aha gotcha moment to show you that this is all a leftist narrative. And I think that's one way to look at it, but 2 things can be true at once. Here's the other problem with that. What that proved was that the cops are just corrupt and that the conservatives weren't outraged about that. That didn't prove the left's if it did prove the left has a narrative, it also proved that cops can be corrupt and kill anybody. And what black people are saying, we didn't say it exclusively happens in the hood. We said that just police are overstepping their bounds. That video proved it. And the fact that none of the conservatives were outraged, but only used it as a talking point to prove that police aren't racist, to me, you're missing the point. that was still an image bearer who died unjustly. And I didn't hear anyone, whether it was voting in his book, whether it was the song that, I didn't hear the song that Tim Brindle did for the Fault Lines album, whether that stuff, no one's talking about that. That actually gives credence to the narrative of police brutality. It doesn't mean, oh, look, it was left as a narrative. You use people and people, that's a real death. That woman lost her son. It took her years to get that footage released. I just think it's fascinating when we look at things through a political lens and not a biblical lens. Did all that research to prove that white people get killed like black people, so cops aren't racist, and didn't look at it from, they're overstepping their boundaries, man. That dude should. Remember the white dude who was in the hallway in the hotel, and the police were like, "Get on the ground." He was like, and he was terrified. He had his hand. He did everything the cop said. He was like, "Lay down on the ground and put your hands behind your back and crawl." You know how hard that is. And the dude said, "I'm trying," and then the cop just killed him. We watched it. We all watched it. It was white dude. There was outrage over that. Couldn't believe it. These narratives are stupid, but that's not the point I was trying to make. Actually, the point I was trying to make was this. That even if you think Donald Trump had a sham trial, which very well may be true, all the men around him, I just named to you 8 of his top advisors, are all felons. What I notice is when someone when a black person gets killed, like back in the day, this hasn't been happening lately, right? But when that would happen, what I would see is the conservatives would dig up his past, the people he connected with. They would love to put the watchdog Candace Owens out there, and she would always from Ahmaud Arbery, all these different people, and they would show and they would think he's guilty by association. Trump, if he's not guilty of these felonies, I just named to you all of his top advisors are felons. Some of them still in prison. The scripture says birds of a feather flock together. Listen, here's the reality to my fellow conservatives. Here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying don't vote for Trump. You're a conservative. You're going to vote for Trump. But let's be honest about Donald Trump. Can we have an honest conversation? I'm not saying don't vote for Trump. If you're a believer, what I'm saying is don't vouch for him. Don't vouch for him. Don't do stupid memes like this. Jesus was convicted, and I still follow him. This is as theological as it gets. I'm not saying don't vote for Trump. We're living in a 2-party system. I know. I'm sorry, libertarians. I'm sorry. You guys will never win unless the country collapses and most left and right Democrats and Republicans die out. You just don't have enough political power. There's two-party system, and when there's only 2 options, you're going to get hamburger A, hamburger B, Coke, Pepsi. You're going to get it. Lakers, Celtics. It's just going to be one or the other. When there's only 2 options, everyone's not going to choose one or the best, whatever it is. You're going to choose options based on data that doesn't make sense. We have 2 options. You're going to vote for Trump. I'm not saying don't vote for him. What I'm saying is don't vouch for him. Don't vouch for him. Even if you think that was a sham trial, Trump is a corrupt, vile, immoral man. And you could say, well, look, you're judging him. I'm calling a tree. I'm calling a tree what it is. I can pray for him and still be honest about what I see in him. And here's the interesting thing. In the verse that I listed earlier, remember this part? This verse right here. He says, let's go back real quick. First of all, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for all people. And then he says this, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. Listen to what the prayer is. Pray for kings and all who are in high positions. Why? That we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. Can we have an honest conversation about Trump? When he was president, and he'll be president again, I think Trump's going to win again, no question. I think anyone who votes for Biden again, you've been abducted by aliens. So Trump is what we got, unless somebody shows up. Only person that I think can beat Trump at this point is Michelle Obama. If she decided to run, and that would be such a wild, that I think they would rally around that. That's the only person that's going to beat Trump right now. Let's just be honest. So Trump is not going to make conservatives have a peaceful, quiet, godly, and dignified life. Just like in the Old Testament, when the kings of Israel were corrupt, they corrupted the people who followed them. People follow. Listen, people are equating, and again, I don't know how many people this is. I saw a lot of these memes on Facebook. People are equating Trump to Jesus and thinking, I still follow him. Jesus never sinned, fam. The fact that you would even make that connection is like Satan is really satisfied. He's loving that connection. He probably created that meme and then had people pass it around. There's no equivalent between Jesus and Donald Trump. There's none. And the fact that anyone would make that connection as if, well, Jesus got a chance, I still follow. Of course you still follow him. He's the creator of the universe. He's the Son of God. Of course you follow him. Trump will take your money and not do nothing about it. Will sell you Bibles sacrilegious with the Constitution in them to make you think that this is honors the Lord. You're not going to live a peaceful and quiet, godly life because Trump's going to get up there and demolish. He's going to call the left fake news. He's going to go on. This is predictive. This is what I think he's going to do based on what he said, the stuff he said. He's going to go after everyone. He's still bitter that he lost the last election. He's going to go after everything that made him lose that because that's the type of man that he is. That's the type of man that he is. You're not going to live, conservatives, a peaceful, quiet, godly, and dignified life. This is what the prayer for him was supposed to be for. This is not going to happen. You got to be honest about Trump. If you're going to vote for him, vote for him. I'm not saying don't vote for him. I'm saying don't vouch for him. And what I mean by vouch is here's the biblical definition of vouch. To support as being true, certain, reliable. Trump is not true. He's not a man of truth. He's a liar. He's about power. He's vindictive. He's vengeful. He has a lot of the fruits of the flesh. And it's shocking to see believers, genuine professing believers, vouch for this man. Vouch for him. Not vote for him. Vouch for him. This is a vouch. You are equating him to Jesus. You can call, somebody texted me and said they think that's a straw man argument. Well, you know what? I seen the Wizard of Oz and that straw man made it to see the wizard. That straw man made it. I seen the Wiz. You know what I'm saying? Ease on down the road. Don't you carry nothing that might be a load. Come on, ease on down. We seen the Wiz. And that scarecrow made it walked on the yellow brick road. I don't care if it's a straw man argument. That stuff doesn't bother me at all. I don't care if you say it's a straw man argument. Shoot, in the country, they eat hay. They eat straw. That means nothing to me. Those talking points are stupid to me. Because straw man argument just means I disagree with what you're saying and I think it's shallow. So what? They made it they walked on that straw man, that scarecrow walked on the yellow brick road. I don't care about a straw man argument. The reality is let's be honest. People are equating the savior of the world to Trump, who they think is the savior of the country. Brothers and sisters, don't vouch for unbelievers. Don't equate them to biblical truth. You are deceived. You are syncretic. You are syncretistic. You are creating a fusion that shouldn't be a fusion. Look at the parable of the sower, Mark 4, third soil. It said it choked the thorns choked. It grew in and choked it. The people in that third soil, they think they're believers. They still believers, just as they don't realize that you've created a syncretistic religion and politics, which I call theological. Now, I'm not saying if you vote for Trump, you're not a believer. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you are making sacrilegious statements or your character, the fruit of the Spirit, if you are not able to love your neighbor because they disagree with you politically, you are out of bounds of the gospel. That is not what it says. And it's a temptation for all of us. Listen, none of us are flawless. You know, you cut me off on the road, I'm ready to fight, right? I get it. We all struggle with that. We all have that. But listen, fam, if you're posting stuff on Facebook like this, you're just looking like a fool. I don't care how much money you raise for Trump. Who cares? The Bible is replete. Jesus says hand over fist that the rich, woe to the rich need to be careful. I don't care. Trump will boast about how much money he raised. He'll boast about all the things that he does. Isn't that 1 John 2? 15 through 17? For the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boasting of what he has and does. I mean, this dude is he's a wicked man. Now, if you want to vote for him, vote for him. We don't have any better options in terms of, ain't like there's a godly dude and a non-godly dude voting and we're voting for the non. No, I get it. I'm saying vote for him, but don't vouch for him, fam. It's embarrassing. Don't vouch for him. Be honest and say, look, this dude he does not have character. He's not really a believer, but I would rather have those policies go through than these democratic policies. We can respect that. I respect that. But don't vouch for this man. Let's be honest about Trump. let's be honest. Two things can be true at once. If his trial was a sham, let's not act like that's the only evidence of bad character that we have of Donald Trump. Come on. Come on. You got all this evidence against Joe Biden and them, and you say, oh, he shouldn't be president. You're not talking about morality. You're talking about theoreticality. You're not talking theologically. You're talking theoretically. That's what this is. God will use ungodly men to rule. We see that in Old Testament Israel. 39 kings, 20 on the northern kingdom, 19 on the bottom. All 20 kings, evil. 6 of the 19 on the southern kingdom, good. 3 started off good, ended up evil. 2 started off bad, ended up good. 1 good, top to bottom. God will use ungodly, but don't call them something that they're not. It's not. It doesn't honor the Lord when we do that. All right? Let's go to the tape. Let's go to tape. I got to rush through these because I got to go pick up my son. All right, still waiting on that feature on that album, bro. You know what, brother? Got to. Hey, man, go ahead, man. I need to hear. Send me something. Send me a beat. Send me something what you spitting. You know what I'm saying? So your friend ain't lying, bro. He might not be. I ain't worried about if he's lying or not. My whole thing is, it ain't like I don't mind. I think it could be a sham trial. My point is that is not the only evidence of Trump of bad character that we have. And there have been a lot of sham trials. Let's be clear, right? Hey, let me talk all the black people real quick. Let's just be honest. We all knew in 1994 that OJ did it. Let's be clear. When I was in the hood, we was getting high. I wouldn't believe it back then. We was getting high. We was waiting for the trial, and we celebrated not because we thought he didn't do it. We celebrated because we thought he beat the system, or we thought he knew who did it. Now, I personally thought one of his relatives did it, to be honest. And some people had. I thought that at the time, and I ain't think he did it. But let me see. Are you using Bible Logos, or do you manually type your verses? I cut and paste. You know what's hypocritical? Say your friend, theological people weaponize 1 Timothy 1:2 when it's in the yeah, 100%. That's what I mean. Everyone does this when it's in their best interest. Best interest. Biden is the head, not Trump. Be honest. I just think he said we then should be praying for Biden. We should be praying for Biden too. Nah, we should be. I'm saying we should be praying for Biden. No, I'm saying that. I agree with that. But I just think, man, we are Biden. My man Will, one more time. I see you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Will. You hold it down for real. Who's going to follow Biden? The coldest Trump-oriented. Conservatives praying for Biden? That's when we leave the Bible and create. Yeah, 100%. They're not praying for no Biden. This is what I mean. We live in a culture where, this is what I mean. We've inherited from 1619 to we've inherited the decimation of the second greatest commandment. We've inherited that. And that's the problem. That's the problem that we have. We've inherited that. In the 80s, hung out with mafia and learned evil through them and his men. Maybe. All that I'm not sure about. What I do know, though, is that I think there's plenty of evidence that Trump is a crooked man. So don't pee on me and tell me it's raining by saying that this trial is a sham trial. You know what was a sham? Him creating a fake school, people paying $20,000 for it, and then it not being a real school. That was the sham. That was the sham trial. All right. Carmen Junk, thank you. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you still like this after that. I don't know where you at or what side of the road you on, where you vote at. Jules, where you been at? Jules, where you been at? Jules, I ain't seen you I ain't seen you around here. Let me see. Trump had a sham trial. Yep. Trump definitely is an unbeliever. Yep. The DOJ, CIA is corrupt. And yep, all of them are true. 100%. 100%. You know what I'm saying? Tony Tippett, that was crazy. I mean, I cried when I saw that. That wasn't a gotcha moment to me, though. That was a, why are you conservatives not outraged about law enforcement? Why do you keep saying that there's nothing wrong here when that proves that they'll do that to anybody? That didn't prove that the left was coming up with a racist narrative. It proved that the narrative of police corruption is actually true. But these people, but you know, when you're theoretical, when you're trying to make a point, I think you're just gonna go with that. So it is what it is. On YouTube, the Faith Unaltered channel had an uncle that was killed by this man. They mentioned it today. I was watching, man, wow. It's crazy, bro. Really crazy. Say something bad about Trump or something that Trump supporters don't even like if it's true, and you see people at 100%. This is what I mean. What fruit of the Spirit? This is how you know you're theological. What fruit of the Spirit is that? Man, I wish I could look at all these comments, but I got to get ready to go. Let me see if there's a couple more I'm going to hit because I got to go pick up my son. He gets out of school at 2 o'clock, and it's 1:58. Sorry, son, I'll be right there. All right, let me see. Trump hat has 45, 47 on it. 4 plus 9. That's some math for the math ain't mathing, right? So not trying to defend Trump or vouch for the man, but the question must be asked, how did Trump advisors become felons? Under what administration were they tried and judged? We got to look at the evidence, though, right? That's like saying, well, how did all these people, if we do that, if we're going to go there, then we got to look at all evidence. We can't just say that their evidence was like that. Look at George Floyd's evidence. We got to look at the evidence for everybody. They said Ahmaud Arbery was guilty if you heard them tell it, but then eventually he wasn't. So again, if we use that argument, we can go both sides then. We can go both sides with that. So I see what you're saying, but I think it's hard to believe that these people were all railroaded, that none of them was guilty. My theology doesn't allow me to believe that. My theology doesn't, I think man is sinful. My theology doesn't allow that, but that's a different conversation. That's honest. Trump is known for New York City. Yeah, 100%. I'm sorry, I can't read through all of these. It's borderline worship. I see a lot of Christians worshiping this dude. Let me see. Now, this is a conversation. Yep, about vote, not about exhortation. This conversation should be discussing the body of Christ without. And listen, you need a man with sensitivity, a man like me. I'm telling you, that's how it is. That's what it is. It's just the people just sensitive, bro. Don't touch my Trump. That's my. Oh, my son telling me he don't even end at 2 o'clock. Hold on. Let me find. This how it is when you have teenagers, boy. Well, what time do y'all end? My son texting me right now. What time do you end? This is my dude right here. This is my middle schooler. This is my youngest. He's wilding right now. I'm getting ready to end the stream and go pick him up. And he telling me they don't end. This dude is wilding. Oh, they end at 4 o'clock. My son just said they end at 4 o'clock, not 2. It's just at the school chain because there's a concert. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, teenage boys. I tell you what, I need to get on that, get back on that slick Rick. A teenage love. Now I still got to pick up my other son in high school. All right, let me do this. Let me see. Please be careful. Please be careful to speak this way. It's dangerous. His followers are serious about their power and will dox you and your family. We must pray. Thank you, bro, for doing that, man. Thank you for saying that. I honestly don't think my channel is big enough, but you know what, man? If they dox me, then what am I going to do with that, man? Like on one level, if that happens, if that does happen, bro, thank you for your prayers. Please pray. But if that happens, bro, like at some point, we got to trust the sovereignty of God. Like God knew I was going to make this video, and if there are consequences that come from that, then that's fine. What am I going to do with that? I'm not going to live in fear of what people could do. It just is what it is. So hopefully that nothing happens. I don't think my channel is big enough for that, but if that happens, and then y'all know, we may not know, but I got cameras around my house though. So they better be good with it because I got cameras in places. You better be swift if you do that. Because if we catch you, we coming for you. We coming for you. The law, the fullest extent of the law. And I got some homies that ain't saved and they might not like that. But that's a different conversation. I ain't trying to talk about that. All right. It's concerning how some professing believers would be too outspoken. So outspoken to defend Trump, yet low-spoken when it comes to being 100%, bro. I mean, well, they are outspoken about Jesus when it's what he did for Trump. When it's him and Trump went through the same thing. That's when they outspoken about Jesus, bro. Ah, man, I just say it was that wild Joe. All right. Hey, you're right. Obama was just as foul 100%, but never moved to being criminal. Trump manipulate one. I think that's a great perspective, Xerxes. I think Obama was corrupt. I mean, I don't know what maybe George W. Bush, maybe W. wasn't. I don't know. I liked George W. Bush, to be honest. I liked him. He made me laugh sometimes, but I liked him. I felt like he was genuine, and I don't know. Maybe because it was 9/11, and it was like, we see you, whole world hears you. I don't know. I liked George W. Bush, to be honest. I hated when they said Bill Clinton was the first black president because he could play the saxophone. And other reasons that we're not going to discuss. That ain't got nothing to do with being black. I can't play the saxophone, and I'm gangster. So I ain't really like that. All right. Not a sham trial, but a shaman was tried. You working on your material, huh? working on your material. I see you Tuesday night at the comedy spot. All right, 2 mile video. I hear you. I wish I could. I still gotta go pick up my oldest. All right. Nah, powerful men are sinful. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the scripture tells us that. Trump promised oil companies. Listen, how many people did Trump promise in like the white? So I read this book. Hey, listen, I don't think you can have an accurate perception about race in America or the state of America unless you read J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy. I read that book and I was like, oh man, this is a game changer in the conversation. Because this is talking about poor white people. And he grew up in the Midwest, in the Appalachia, right? And he got out of it. I think he's a governor or something of some state now. But he grew up in Appalachia, West Virginia area, or the Rust Belt, right? The heartbeat of America, that's today, surely. Right? He grew up around there with a number of poor white people. And all the categories that he listed, right? He said high crime rates, low high school dropout rates, high birth rates, high drug use, high domestic violence. Everything that he said about about his is what happens in the black community, the stats that they use, right? Everything that he said. And I read that book and thought they even made it a show on Netflix. I think it's a movie on Netflix, but I didn't watch the movie because when you watch the book, I was like, but I thought the book was eye-opening for me because I just didn't consider poor white people. And the reason why the book blew up is because when they showed Trump on the campaign trail in his first presidential election, he was going to these towns. He was promising these people he's going to bring back the coal mines. I mean, this is where Trump strategist, I think it was Steve O'Bannon, was brilliant. Make America great again. They never defined what it meant. So wherever you went, however people processed again, make America great again, he could just pivot off of that. What was again to you? Well, we want our jobs back. We feel like the Hollywood, the government, Washington doesn't care about us. I'm going to get coal mines back up here. Man, ain't no coal mines up. Remember when Mexico was supposed to build a wall? I remember people cheering. Like, Mexico was going to build the wall. They going to build it. Man, Mexico been climbing over the wall. They been coming through the wall. They ain't building no wall. You had 4 years to make them build it. They ain't build no wall. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, you ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. You lie. And so that's what I'm saying. Don't vouch for this, man. If you're going to vote for him. I get it. Vote for him. I don't want, no, Joe Biden, no. But let's not act like, but no one's saying Joe Biden is a godly man and Jesus has it. I don't hear people on the left saying that. They just want him to win because they hate Donald Trump. To be honest with you, and I'm going to end with this because I got to go pick up my son because I could talk to y'all all day. Let me tell you the truth. Here's the reality. Both parties, neither of them have Christ and him crucified. They do not care about your policies. They only care about them as much as they care about them because the political structure right now in America is each side really hates each other and is working against each other. There was a time when on some level there would be some good bipartisan stuff. I remember hearing an interview with Newt Gingrich a while ago, and Newt Gingrich said he took responsibility for that changing. He said what used to happen on the Hill, he said is, in the evenings, he said liberals and conservatives would go out to dinner, they would hang out. You know, you go to Union Station and see them eat lunch together. Like they were actually friends. They were dating. They had relationships, but it was their job. But Newt Gingrich would say, and you can Google this or go to Perplexity, but he said that he stopped it. He didn't want conservatives. You know, Newt Gingrich was a Republican. He didn't want them hanging out with the left. And that created a loss of relationship. And then it became more of a job and it became a cause. There was a point where it was always liberal politics versus conservative. That's always true. But now it's more destroy the other side. Destroy the other side. And then we get brought into it like, yeah, we got to destroy the other side. And it's like, these other side are made in God's image. Jesus has Christians that are on the other side. There were people who will be in Revelation 7 worshiping Jesus with you when you're on the other. It's foolish. We can't buy in to, and this is what happens. When you worship your leaders, you will imitate them, just like the kings in Israel and just like Trump. Trump, I think, made people, conservatives, I think he made them worse because of his character. They loved seeing him because, and I always say I'm going to end, and this is it. When I say this, I'm leaving. I'm leaving after this. Here's the reality. The right, it's all fear driven. This is why I know it's satanic, because Satan, he operates by fear. Right? This is why Jesus came in Hebrews 2. It talks about he came to take away the fear of death. Right? 1 John 4, perfect love casts out all fear. Right? Fear is something that Satan thrives off of. So that the right is terrified of losing the economic structure that we have called capitalism. That's why when people were bringing up concerns for racism, the first thing you heard was you're a cultural Marxist. Well, first it was social justice warrior. No, it was cultural Marxist, social justice warrior, and woke. There's a fear of losing the economic realities of the country. That's what you're more. So you care more about country than Christ. You care more about losing the freedoms and the whatever you feel like you have, the ability to make capital. You're afraid of losing that more than losing the character of representing Christ. And the left is the same way. It's fear of white supremacy in many ways. It's fear of conservative policies that take away the freedoms. Right? Many of those freedoms are just freedoms to sin ridiculously, but these people aren't Christians. But they're all afraid. It's all fear. It's all you're afraid. How about we remember Isaiah 66, 1 and 2. Heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. So where will you build for me a temple? The Lord said the earth is my footstool. So help me figure this out. Make this make sense to me. How are you going to take back the country for Jesus when he said it's his footstool? You're going to give back something that's under his feet. The math ain't mathing to me. I'm not saying don't vote for the dude. Let me say this one more time for the people in the back. I'm not saying don't vote for the dude. What I'm saying is don't vouch for him. And let's be clear on what vouching means. To support as being true, certain, reliable. Trump is not true, he's not certain, and he's not reliable. He's just not a Democrat. And that's the reality, and that's what many of you who wrote conservative care about. I get it. But I don't get it either. What I get is you vote your conscience. What I don't get is you lose your conscience for a vote. All right, I got to go pick up my oldest son. I got to pick up my oldest son. Appreciate y'all, love y'all. Friday. I might drop another video tonight. I'm in that kind of mood. I might drop a twofer. We'll see. But I appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get it. Let's be honest about Trump. And cut this stuff out, please. Cut this. When you see this on your Facebook feed or Twitter, cut this out. Jesus was convicted in a sham trial and crucified, and I still follow him. Oh, my gosh. Cut that out, please. All right? Appreciate y'all. See y'all when I see y'all.